Hi, I'm going to be playing chess, listen to trance music, and also listen to Sam Shamoun. This is Sam Shamoun.
On the Sunnah and believe that the Son of
And
Muhammad is the
he's
foundation
doing a video called Irrational Teachings of Muhammad.
mistaken, full of errors.
And anyway, I'm playing the computer. The computer's white, and I'm black.
It goes against reason.
And this is not the highest level, it's the midway level, because the highest level is slow, and I get antsy. I'm trying to make videos. It'll beat me on the level I'm at now. Of course, I usually beat it more than it beats me, but it's more exciting when it's this, because I can move faster. I like to move fast.
I want to speak the truth boldly, passionately, and in the love of Christ so that Muslims will escape Islam and turn to Christ as their only hope of salvation. Do me a favor. Okay. I want you to read for me chapter 36, verse 38 of the Quran. Chapter 36, verse 38. You read it, and then I'm going to go to the Sunnah to see how Muhammad explained this particular verse of the Quran. Now remember, the Sunnah is necessary for the Quran. You established that.
I'm black.
That's what the majority of Muslim scholars have said. Yes. So I'm now going to go to the Sunnah to see what Muhammad said is the meaning of this passage. Okay. Now read for me 36, verse 38.
Okay. Sahih International Translation of the meaning. And the sun runs on course towards its stopping point.
The sun does what?
It runs on course towards its stopping point.
So according to the Quran, the sun is on a course, and there's a specific point which it reaches and it stops. That's what the Quran says. Now again, some can interpret that to be scientific because they say the sun is on a course. Well, let's see how Muhammad explained that. I'm going to be quoting, and this is found several times in Sahih Bukhari. But for the sake of time, I'm going to read one from Bukhari and Ibn Kathir's exposition of this passage, based on Muhammad's interpretation. This comes from Sahih Bukhari, volume 4 in English, because Bukhari has been translated into English. You'll find it in 9 volumes by Dr. Muhammad Muslim Khan. And I'm going by the old numbering system, but you can still find it by going to volume 4, book 54, number 421. Now the numbering in the updated version has changed. I'm going by the older numbering system, the older edition. Still, you'll find it by going to volume 4 and looking at book 54. You'll find the statement. Let me read it. Narrated Abu Dhar. The Prophet asked me at sunset, do you know where the sun goes at the time of sunset? Where does the sun go at the time of sunset? I replied, Allah and His Apostle know better. Now, Lord willing, ask me a little later on to explain the implication of the statement. Allah and His Apostle, using the Arabic conjunction law, know better. Don't forget to ask me that, because this statement is a statement of shirk. It elevates Muhammad to the status of Allah. Ask me later to prove that. So he goes, Allah and His Apostle know better. He said, now watch Muhammad's exposition of 36, 38, folks. This is the Sunnah. If you're a Sunni Muslim, you can't reject this. You have to accept it. You're stuck with it. It goes till it prostrates itself under the throne and takes the permission to rise again. And it is permitted, and then a time will come when it will be about to prostrate itself, but its prostration will not be accepted, and will ask permission to go on its course, but it will not be permitted, but it will be ordered to return whence it has come, and so it will rise in the west. This is the interpretation of the statement of Allah, and the sun runs its fixed course from a term decreed. That is the decree of Allah, the exalted and might, the all-knowing. Chapter 36, verse 38 of the Quran, which you just read. Notice what this hadith says. Muhammad says, this is what this verse of the Quran means. It's speaking of the sun literally traveling till it gets to the throne of Allah, and then the sun prostrates, like Muslims do, before the throne of Allah, and asks Allah if it can return back on its course. Did you catch that?
Yes, I did.
You're laughing. My question is,
Is that some of that scientific proof I've been hearing about?
yeah, the Quran is a scientific miracle. Which scientist and which Muslim, sincere Muslim in his right mind, would accept this as being factual, correct? I mean, your reaction says it all. Someone who's not been indoctrinated to believe in Islam would laugh.
20 seconds. Gotta wait 20 seconds when it goes black like that. It's supposed to be refreshing. Anyway, I'm gonna play back Sam Shamoun a little bit.
And then after that, if you have a particular hadith or two, mention that, because I'm going to also give one on how Muhammad explained the passage of the Quran about the setting of the sun related to this. Let me read what Ibn Kathir says. And by the way, you can read a translation of Ibn Kathir's commentary on the Quran, albeit in an abridged form. The entire abridged translation is made available online for free. Go to the following website. Go to the letter Q, tafsir.com. QTAFSIR.com. Click on chapter 36 of the
I'll
Quran.
go back a little bit here.
Did you catch that?
Yes, I did.
You're laughing. You can close yourself. My question is,
That's some of that scientific proof I've been hearing about?
yeah, the Quran is a scientific miracle. Which scientist and which Muslim, sincere Muslim in his right mind, would accept this as being factual, correct? I mean, your reaction says it all. Someone who's not been indoctrinated to believe in Islam would laugh at such silliness. This is why I said the irrational teachings of Muhammad. Now, Muslims, if this offends you, I apologize, but I'm simply quoting your sources to you. This is what your most authentic sources teach. Now, let me read Ibn Kathir's
I'm beating the
exposition.
computer.
And then after that, if you have a particular hadith or two, mention that, because I'm going to also give one on how Muhammad explained the passage in the Quran about the setting of the sun. It's related to this. Let me read what Ibn Kathir says. And by the way, you can read a translation of Ibn Kathir's commentary on the Quran, albeit in an abridged form. The entire abridged translation is made available online for free. Go to the following website. Go to the letter Q, tafsir.com. QTAFSIR.com. Click on chapter 36 of the Quran, verse 38, and you're going to find this explanation provided by Ibn Kathir, who's considered one of the greatest medieval scholars, one of the greatest scholars that has ever lived, not just medieval period. In fact, and any Muslim can challenge me on this, when a Muslim wants to translate the Quran into English, he must consult various Muslim scholars, commentators, as well as linguists. Some of whom include Al-Zamakhshari, Al-Baidawi, Tabari, Qurtubi, Jalalain, Ibn Kathir. These are the people you must consult to get a proper understanding of the meaning of the Quran and therefore translate it correctly into English. Ibn Kathir is one of them. Right? Some actually prefer him over the rest. Some would prefer Tabari, but be that as it may, I'm not quoting any Joe Schmo. I'm quoting someone whose reputation speaks for itself in the Muslim world, specifically to the Sunnis. Now again, we have to take into consideration the Shiites. They have their own tradition. For a future topic. Let me read this. Look what he says. There are two views over the meaning of this phrase, meaning chapter 36 and 38. On its fixed course for a term appointed. The first view is that it refers to its fixed course of location, which is beneath the throne. So the sun's course is beneath Allah's throne, beyond the earth in that direction. Wherever it goes, it is beneath the throne, because the throne of Allah encompasses, I guess, the heavens. Wherever the sun travels, it's beneath the throne. And then it says, notice this, because the throne is the roof of creation, Allah's throne is the roof of creation, and it is not a sphere as many astronomers claim. It's not a sphere. The roof that covers the heavens and the earth is not a sphere. Guys, do you understand what he just said? It's not spherical, the roof that covers the heavens and the earth. Rather, it is a dome supported by legs or pillars, carried by the angels, and it is above the universe. So Allah's throne is a dome that encompasses the physical creation, right? And this throne is supported by pillars. Now that would make sense if the authors of the Quran believed that the heavens and the earth were like a building, right? Not spherical, but a building that has a roof over it that encompasses it. Now, that said, it says not only above the universe, above the heads of people, when the sun is at its zenith at noon, it is in its closest position to the throne. And when it runs in its fourth orbit, the sun in its fourth orbit, at the opposite point to its zenith, at midnight, it is in its further position from the throne. It's further away from the throne. At that point, it prostrates and asks permission to rise, as mentioned in the hadiths. Did you catch that? Ibn Kathir is describing the universe and describing Allah's throne as a roof that encompasses the universe, and talks about the sun prostrating to the throne, a sun prostrating before the throne, and asking Allah permission to return. Does that imply that the sun is a conscious entity that can actually speak and be spoken to? Because it says the sun is asking permission. How could it ask permission if it's not personal? If it doesn't have cognizance, if it doesn't have rationality? but doesn't have the ability to speak. So am I to assume that Muhammad and those who followed Muhammad believed the sun was a rational object?
From taking this narration, I would think the sun has.
Really? All right, well, and let me read the second view just to be fair. The second view is that this refers to when the sun's appointed time comes to an end, which will be on the day of resurrection, when its fixed course will be abolished. It will come to a halt and it will be rolled up. And by the way, he then quotes the same hadith by Muhammad, speaking to Abu Dhar, who says that the sun prostrates before the throne. So now you see Muhammad's exposition of chapter 36, 38, and the scholars who followed the son of Muhammad all say this is referring to the sun prostrating before the throne of Allah, returning back to its course in order to illuminate the earth. Now, how many Muslims in a right frame of mind or rational thinkers could accept such a statement? But if you cast the statement out, this comes from your most authentic collection of narrations. If you call this into question, you've destroyed the very foundation of all your hadiths. And if you destroy the very foundation of your hadiths, you've destroyed the Quran. Because without the hadith, you can't make heads or tails out of much of the Quran. Because the Quran, for the most part, is unclear. You can't have your cake and eat it too. What say you, my brother from a different?
Well, the contradiction is very clear. This is what Muhammad taught. This is what his companions taught. This is what medieval Muslims taught. So this wasn't a problem for a large part of history, but for the modern Muslim, the Muslim who is viewing our program now, you might have a problem with this narration. You might have a problem with this tafsir of this Quran. You may feel a little embarrassed about that. I'm asking you, what do you do about it? Maybe you want to give us a call and let us know. How do you reconcile this in your mind? You know, because this is supposed to be wahi. This is supposed to be revelation about reality, right? Because revelation about fantasy, that doesn't really do, what good does that do us? We don't need to hear revelations about fantasies. This is supposed to be revelation about all things, making all things clear. And it's telling us about our reality. The sun is a reality. The orbit of the sun around the earth, that's reality. So it's telling us the reality is that the sun is a being who has a
I'm going to win this thing, but I'm making a lot of mistakes. Oh well.
And there's this gigantic throne.
Yeah. Again, when it shows that blank, I have to. Yeah. Well, I think I'll go back a little bit with this irrational teachings of Muhammad.
That's what you're telling me.
Go back a little bit.
My brother from a different.
Well, the contradiction is very clear. This is what Muhammad taught. This is what his companions taught. This is what medieval Muslims taught. So this wasn't a problem for a large part of history, but for the modern Muslim who is viewing our program now, you might have a problem with this narration. You might have a problem with this tafsir of this Quran. You may feel a little embarrassed about that. I'm asking you, what do you do about it? Maybe you want to give us a call and let us know. How do you reconcile this in your mind? You know, because this is supposed to be wahi. This is supposed to be revelation about reality, right? Because revelation about fantasies, that doesn't really do, what good does that do us? You don't need to hear revelations about fantasies. This is supposed to be revelation about all things, making all things clear. And it's telling us about our reality. The sun is a reality. The orbit of the sun around the earth, that's reality. So it's telling us the reality is that the sun is a being who has a soul and a conscience and is traveling through the universe. And there's this gigantic throne, there's the roof of the universe, and it gets to a certain point and it bows down and asks permission of Allah to travel some more. Yeah, that's what you're telling me.
In fact, not just the average.
Beat it.
Let me read to you what
Okay, I'm going to play it again, but I'm running out of time here, so I'll make another video. Bye.